Well, it's another day in paradise. You're watching Live Up to Freedom. I'm Michael Lauber, sitting in today for Annie Cyrus, who's taken a few days off just to kind of recover after traveling to Tennessee to help anchor alongside Brandon House and Leo Holman and Mike Lindell for the Thanksathon. And she was kind enough to allow me to sit in with you today. Now, yesterday we kind of left on a cliffhanger with our very special guest, Jeff Crouere, who, of course, is the author of America's Last Chance and host of Ringside Politics, which you can find on Real America's Voice. So, Jeff, when we dipped out last time, the failure with the Tea Party and this contract with America. I mean, I saw Newt Gingrich out there talking about that was one of the things that we needed. We need a renewed contract with America, something that the Republicans can put together that gives us a united front of goals that they want to accomplish, how they're going to roll out that agenda, and to give them focus, give them that cohesive message. And, 2 years just went by and that didn't happen. But it's also the Tea Party movement, because I think that is maybe even bigger piece, because I remember when that was happening, and I was excited. It felt like the base was finally energized, that conservatives and conservative values were going to be pushed to the forefront. And I almost went to DC for that, but I was actually still living in Florida at the time, and it just switched over. I was working with a new company and could not take the time off. But anyway, it was, it felt like the movement was actually alive. And this is one of the advantages I feel like the left has, is even if it's Antifa and BLM, like they're actively involved, like there's a community around their political messaging, like they live politics. Our side doesn't do that, but we still need a cohesive foundation, something to draw us together and give us a common agenda. And that's what the Tea Party felt like it was.
Now, remember another component in what happened back then, and that is that Obama sicked the government, the IRS, on the Tea Party movement.
Yes.
Tried to diminish it, to derail it, to harm it. And, you had Lois Lerner, who was involved in going after Tea Party organizations. Mm-hmm. And you know what? Nothing ever happened to her. She was in contempt of Congress. She didn't testify. She got off scot-free. There were no real ramifications for what they did. The same sort of thing happened with Eric Holder. He didn't get any kind of negative ramifications for not showing up, blowing off Congress. Contempt of Congress was passed against him. And then, of course, when it happens to Republicans, when it happens to Peter Navarro, when it happens to Steve Bannon, all hell breaks loose. They throw him in jail, they handcuff him, they put him in John Hinckley's cell. They're going to charge him, they're going to spend time in prison. It's just another example of the double standard and how the government apparatus is really a big help to the Democrats and allows them to really squash our efforts. And whenever we try to break away from this establishment and bring power back to the people, they are hell-bent on destroying that.
Yeah, and it's intimidation. Again, they want to send a message when they send a TAC team to go kick down Roger Stone's door at 5 a.m., this is to send a message to everybody else. CNN didn't magically show up to videotape these things. Like they were told. It's the propaganda wing of the government doing what the propaganda wing of the government does, and that's push the narrative message.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Exactly right. Yeah, and I was just going to say Peter Navarro is another example. He was like right next door to FBI headquarters. They could have picked him up at any time.
Yeah,
but they
good point.
Right, getting ready to go on a plane. And they make a big public spectacle of it, and then handcuff him and shackle him and strip search him and throw him in John Hinckley's cell. It's a humiliation process, intimidation process, which is what they did to Roger Stone and what they did to Paul Manafort, putting him in solitary confinement, and what they've done to so many other people that are supporters of President Trump. It's what they did to the Tea Party back during that time period. So that's what we're up against. And now that we've got a Republican House, they've got to deliver. They've got to expose all of this weaponization, which is going on in the DOJ. That can be one of the most important things that they can accomplish with the power that they have right now.
Yes. And that's one thing. Annie had Jim Jordan on a little over a week ago, and that was one thing that I do like, that he is out in front and out vocal about this, both about investigation into the Biden crime family, but also into the FBI and DOJ corruption. I think this just needs to be the starting point. Like once we dig into these things, there can't be this, general amnesty or whatever you want to call it that the Republicans usually do that, oh, now that we're in power, we don't want to be mean. We don't want to hurt our political
Right.
enemies. I'm sorry. It's time for justice. This isn't retribution against your enemies. This is justice for things that were already done. And if that doesn't happen, like I mean, I don't even know what to tell you at this point. I've
I
lost all
know. I
faith.
mean, I
Yeah.
always tell my audience that Democrats play hardball and Republicans play wiffle ball. I mean, it's just a whole different mindset. We've got these rules of engagement as far as in the boxing ring. They have MMA style, cutthroat killers that'll do anything they can to win. I mean,
Yeah.
we got to start getting in the mud with them and using the same sort of tactics that they use. They impeached Donald Trump 2 times, Mike, for nothing. A
Yes.
phone call, and a speech. If I were in charge, I'd be pursuing impeachment of Joe Biden. Yeah, because he's
Yes.
committed crimes. He has committed crimes. I mean, what he has done is 1,000 times worse than anything that Donald Trump ever did, in my opinion. So I think they need to go after that, and maybe Jim Jordan and Representative Comer and some of these others,
Yeah.
will do that. I certainly hope so.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope they stick to their guns, and that's again why like we can't have these rhinos sabotaging things in the background, like McCarthy. Uh, I really hope he doesn't end up running the House because then a lot of these things will get pushed to the sideline. But you're right. Like the Republicans and the Democrats are playing two different games. Like the Democrats are willing to like make the rules up as they go, change things to suit them. And one of the things I've said is like when they take the House, they ought to leave these horrible rules that Pelosi put in place. Make the Democrats suffer under them now. Start pulling them off all the committee seats. It's time for if you don't punish your enemy, they never learn. And I think that's what we've taught the Democrats over the last 100 years is there won't be any repercussions for your actions. So there have to be some.
No doubt about it. There's got to be, and it's got to be a whole new type of Republican leader. We've got to see some kind of an aggressive leader pushing back. And, that's probably why McCarthy went down to the border to show that he's tough and he's going to take on this issue. He's calling for the impeachment of Alejandro Mayorkas, who is the worst Secretary of Homeland Security in
Oh, I
history.
know.
So, I mean, that's a good first step. Merrick Garland should be impeached, but I really do believe the big enchilada is impeaching Joe Biden, and there's no reason why that shouldn't be pursued. So, hopefully, we'll see all of that.
Well, and hopefully they do exactly what the Democrats did with Biden because they're not going to get a conviction in the Senate. I mean, there's enough
Right.
rhinos and enough Democrats that
Sure.
it's going to get thrown out.
No
But
doubt about it. No doubt about it. But it doesn't matter. I mean, there still would be an
exactly.
asterisk by the name. They've got 2 of them by Donald Trump's name. They knew that he wouldn't be convicted and removed. They
Yeah.
did it anyway. He was leaving office in like 2 days. They did
Yeah.
it anyway in January of 2021. So, I mean, they did it like in super hyper speed. So, I
Yeah.
mean, we could do it like several times to Joe Biden on all kinds of different charges.
Exactly. He should be the new impeachment world record holder. I mean,
Right.
and I think
Exactly.
we need to set the bar high, maybe 20, 25, make sure it takes a real effort for somebody to break it again. But, and they were so concerned. The media was, oh, this is a stain on Trump's presidency. No matter what else happens, he'll never be able to overcome being impeached. And then it was being impeached twice. So they want to play that game. Let's play that game. And
Right.
there are literally dozens of things you could go after the Biden regime for impeachment from, the board. It's all the obvious ones. The other big thing we need to investigate is all this money that went to Ukraine and then this FTX and the connections there. And if there are some big name Republicans that lose their heads because of this, Mitch McConnell, I hear, took a sizable amount of cash. Sounds like McCarthy did as well. Then those heads need to roll. It's time to clean out things on all sides.
Oh, no doubt about it. We need to go where the evidence points us and get to the truth, no matter who is involved. And I agree with you. I think there's a reason why they're not auditing where all that money in Ukraine is going. I mean, you send tens
Yeah.
of billions of dollars to Ukraine and you don't want to audit where the funds are going. That's a red flag. That's a big red flag. And
Yeah.
that's I outlined to a local congressman who told me on my radio show that he didn't see any reason to impeach Joe Biden. Within 30 minutes, I sent his office 6 reasons why Joe Biden should be impeached, and that's just scratching. That's just scratching the surface. So, I
Yeah.
mean, there's so many different things that hopefully they will investigate Biden and his son and his corrupt family and all those that are involved in it.
Yeah, and I honestly don't care if there's an investigation into Hunter Biden and the DOJ actually pursues it and he does some jail time. I honestly don't even care if Biden pardons him, because either way, like it's done. The story's out there, and now the whole nation knows the only reason that Hunter's not sitting in jail is because Joe Biden pardoned him. So these things need to be pursued. Jim Biden, and then any other family corruption. We also need to pursue some of these other like Chinese nationalists and other people that they were working with here, um, and dig into those, see where else these roots connect to, these corrupt tentacles. Bring down the whole network, and
No doubt about it. Yeah, no doubt about it.
if that leaves other elected officials, so be it.
Well, I mean, I think it runs deep, and I think it's multifaceted with many countries involved. There's all kinds of incredible corruption. Again, I go back to Trump. You know, his son had a meeting one time with a Russian in Trump Tower about the Magnitsky Act. It was
Yes.
a non-consequential meeting. The media went crazy over a meeting for 10, 15 minutes. Hunter Biden has been doing business deals in Ukraine and with communist China for years, raking in big money. The big guy's been getting a 10% cut, according to Tony Bobolewski, the former business associate.
Yes.
And you know what they said? Oh, the laptop can't be verified. It's Russian disinformation.
Of course it is. Yeah, and keep in mind too, with that meeting with Trump and the Russian, it was set under false pretenses, and
Right.
she was thrown out after it happened. Whereas, like you said, there's this entire laptop that's completely filled with evidence of crimes and things that may or may not be child pornography, connections to human trafficking,
Right.
videos of him weighing drugs on a scale. I mean, it's absolutely disgusting that it isn't just that the media ignored it; it's that they actively covered up, and that social media, prevented this story from being shared before the 2020 election. That it is a
Right.
coordinated effort. So that's another thing that I think that we need to address. Maybe we'll cover this after the break. Is some sort of regulation on the tech industry and social media. So we're going to hear from our sponsor, Extractivity. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Thank you.
Extractivity is an all-natural energy and health drink developed by Brannon House several years ago with a team of experts. Extractivity supports a healthy heart, strong immunity, skin, hair and nails, cognitive health, and cellular health. This all-natural energy drink is loaded with antioxidants. But don't take our word for it. Do your own research to find the benefits of red wine extract, bilberry extract, grapeseed extract, pine bark extract, and vitamin C. Brannon credits Extractivity in part for his abundance of energy and good health. Order your 30-day supply now at mystore.com. Be sure to use the promo code on the screen for a generous discount. Extractivity, your all-natural source for energy and good health. Find it at mystore.com.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and I'm excited to announce my new product, My Coffee. I get products all the time from entrepreneurs for my new platform, mystore.com. And when I tried My Coffee for the first time, I was blown away. It is the best coffee I've ever had in my life. I spent the last 4 months doing my due diligence, and this family-owned business micromanages every step from the fields to the cup to ensure the best quality coffee you're ever going to have. It starts with the beans that are grown in Honduras. Honduras's volcanic soil and humid climate make the perfect growing conditions for coffee plants, which produce the best beans ever. Then each batch is tested for its aroma, taste, and other aspects to meet the highest standards in the coffee industry. And after that, it goes into production, which is all done right here in the USA. It's like you're getting that small batch specialty coffee, but delivered right to your front door. So go to mystore.com or call the number on your screen. Use the promo code and you'll get your very own My Coffee for 25% off. You guys all know that I've traveled the country for the past year and a half. I've stayed in hundreds of hotels. I've tried every coffee out there. Well, some of the coffees have that terrible aftertaste, some that leave me jittery, or I get an upset stomach. Well, My Coffee is different. It's the richest, smoothest, best coffee I've ever had. My coffee comes in a variety of flavors. You get them ground or whole bean, plus it's certified organic and non-GMO. I guarantee it'll be the best coffee you've ever had. So go to mystore.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code and you'll get my coffee for 25% off. And I'm going to give you deep discounts on all my store products. That's mystore.com. It's my new platform for USA entrepreneurs. Please order now.
Thank you for staying with us. You can, of course, find our sponsor, Extractgevity, at mystore.com. When you check out, make sure you use code AC21, as in AntiCyrus21, for a generous discount and to help support Live Up to Freedom, our other show, Let's Be Frank, and all the creators that you see here on Lindell TV and at Frank's Speech that are bringing you the news that the mainstream media doesn't want you to hear. Before we jump back into the conversation, I did want to address a question that we got through the email, and that was about our merchandise. That's why I decided to wear our Let's Be Frank t-shirt today. You can still find this. The link is on liveuptofreedom.com. Get yourself a shirt. There's some great hoodies, and one of my personal favorites is the tumbler like coffee cup. These things are amazing. They're not very expensive. They do a fantastic job keeping your cold drinks cold and your hot drinks hot. So, Jeff, where do we leave off at?
We're talking about what happened with the whole censorship and the Hunter Biden laptop. And yes. I wanted to add one thing, Mike, and that is, not only was it all censored by social media, but remember they did it at the behest of the FBI. So the FBI was the one that pressured, Twitter and Facebook. You can't, allow any posts about Hunter Biden's laptop because that's Russian disinformation. Now, of course, they knew it wasn't Russian disinformation. Yeah. So once again, we have another election where the FBI was intervening to try to throw the outcome. They did it just a few weeks ago when they raided Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort right before the 2022 midterm election. So it seems like, they're just an arm. They're just, the wing of the Democrat Party doing the bidding of the Democrat Party. And that's not what I think Americans want the FBI to be.
Yeah, it used to be the KKK was the terrorist wing of the Democrat Party, but unfortunately today it's the FBI. And you are exactly right that is what they're doing, is they're sending a message, but they're corrupting the vote. They're making people think that there's some kind of big case or some conspiracy that Donald Trump or whoever is participating in. But as we've seen, a lot of times these charges end up getting dropped. They don't go forward, or there was never a case to begin with, like it seems like with the FBI raid on Mar-a-Lago. I mean, Trump was the president. He can declassify whatever he wants. Barack Obama, I've heard, lost thousands of documents when a warehouse that he had them stored in for his museum that's being built or maybe built in Chicago was broken into, and documents were stolen or disappeared there.
And Mike, how can we forget the 30,000 emails from Hillary Clinton, classified top secret emails? Her communications were hacked into by other countries, and the FBI under James Comey leadership decided to do nothing. So that was a definite case where she should have been prosecuted. Was her house raided? No. They went in there pleasantly with an appointment. They didn't even record the interview. I'm sure it was very cordial. I'm sure they were just doing it for the record, because he then ran out before cameras and said, "Oh, nothing to see here. We're not going to be prosecuting Hillary Clinton." And this is after, let's not forget, you had Loretta Lynch, the AG, happened to just stumble across Bill Clinton at an airport, and they talked about golf and grandkids. That's all they talked about. Nothing about, obviously, Hillary. It was just golf and grandkids that they talked about.
Yeah, on the tarmac. Well, you're exactly right. And, what I've always found, like, even worse with the whole Hillary Clinton thing is, like, she was the co-sponsor of the legislation that changed the rules for how, like, all this sensitive information needed to be handled in the modern age of, cell phones, computers, and wireless devices. So to pretend she didn't know better or she's that ignorant is also a fallacy, and our media won't call her on it. But you're right. She puts a server in a bathroom, smashes cell phones, bleach pits drives, has different people lying and changing their story. And we're supposed to pretend that doesn't mean anything. But Donald Trump holds on to a few documents that he was authorized to declassify as president. Right. and we're supposed to believe that he needs to be in jail for the next 20 years, or they're probably going to go like say that it's a treason and he needs to be executed, knowing them.
And then the other thing about Hillary Clinton, of course, she claimed that Donald Trump was colluding with Russia when she was the one colluding with Russia.
Yes.
Her foundation was getting Russian donations. She approved Uranium One. Bill Clinton was in Moscow getting big money for speeches. She's tainted, but then she was the one funding the dirty dossier about Donald Trump, which led to, of course, the Mueller investigation and that nonsense, 2 years to investigate what we all knew, that there's no Trump-Russia collusion, but they spent almost $40 million and harassed him for 2 years. So, they're getting ready to do it again with this other special counsel. And he said, to his credit, I'm not going to partake. I'm not going to participate in this. I'm not involved.
Yeah. Well, this goes back to kind of the original point that we were going to come back to, and that is controlling the narrative. And what can the Republicans do now to put pressure on social media and the media so there isn't this type of because at the end of the day, it is collusion. It is our media and social media toting water for the DNC and the Uniparty. What do we need to do? How do we get this to change?
We talked about what we need to do for elections, and I outlined a strategy there. I think what we need to do as far as social media goes is continue to pull away from these corrupt entities like Facebook. Now, I'm hoping Twitter, and we got to see what Elon Musk does. He's making some hopeful decisions, and maybe we're going to see Twitter as a free speech platform. But we have to continue to push for the other alternatives like True Social. I promote one on my program called Your Spot, YORE spot.com, which is a free speech platform. Getter and other ones. Get away from these biased social media platforms. And then the same thing with the media. Move toward frank speech, Lindell TV. Move toward Real America's Voice. Stop supporting these networks that are incredibly biased. And then I think that is going to be, a real step in the right direction. Stop spending our money with all these entities that hate us. Stop giving our money to these Hollywood stars that are, so anti-American. So be smart with our dollars, be smart with where we spend our time, and stop supporting these entities that hate us. I mean, these people hate us and our values.
Yes.
So why should we support them financially, Mike?
Well, I think you're exactly right there, that it is almost, on the economic side, we do almost need to create a parallel economy that is conservative driven, to spend your money with people that don't hate us, people that support our values. And I do think that's where things like Public Square come in, and a lot of these entities that you see popping up, Lindell TV, My Store, a way to support businesses that support your values. But I do kind of disagree with you on the social media side, because I think that if we're going to fight the enemy, we have to fight them on their digital battlefield, where all the normies and the people that are kind of more apolitical or default liberals are. That if we're not out there too promoting our message, then they really are 100% in a what's the term I'm looking for? They're in an echo chamber.
Echo chamber?
Yeah, that's all they're going to hear is stuff that reinforces what the media wants them to hear.
Well, I mean, we can continue to try to participate in those forums, but we'll continue to get our content blocked and censored, which is what they've been doing. I mean, I've been in Facebook jail so many times. I mean,
you and me both.
Shadow ban me. They limit the reach of my posts that they don't like. I can't talk about the election, can't talk about COVID, can't talk about so many topics that I'm allowed to talk about on these other platforms. So that's why I mentioned the other platforms, but you can still try to interact with these people. But I prefer the ones that allow free speech.
I guess that's sort of the way I am too. Like most of my posting, like for personal stuff, or if I just want to, tag things or message friends, I do go to Gab and a lot of the alternative social media. But I still post on Facebook, even if they throw me in jail, because I do I have reached people that way, or been able to share things. But I think you're also right with Twitter changing, with Elon Musk seeming to be taking a path more towards free speech. Like, I don't ever think it's going to be perfect. I'm not under any illusions there.
Right.
But I do feel like we've got to get this Section 230 and all these protections under control if we ever want to see real change on social media. Because otherwise, it's going to take another tech billionaire coming in and buying Facebook to get any kind of reform through, and that's probably not going to happen.
But you know what? Facebook is losing money. So because of what Facebook has done, they're hurting financially. And, I think that's what really set Twitter up to be taken over by Elon Musk because of what they were doing. And I hope Trump goes ahead and goes back and posts on Twitter. I mean, he's got 82 million followers now. I mean, that's a great
Yes.
audience that he should try to interact with. But I know he's got contractual obligations with True Social, so maybe he
Yes.
can't do that. But it is something that I think we have to look at how we communicate, who we support, making sure that we don't just allow, as you say, these liberals to own certain mediums. So, maybe we can do what we can on Facebook, try, but support these other ones that are starting, that are trying to give us a free speech voice. And I want to be one to endorse Mike Lindell, who I think has done a great job with Lindell TV, Frank Speech, everything he's done with the elections, and his courage in speaking out. I think he would be a great RNC chair, and I hope that's going to happen, Mike. I hope he's going to be successful.
Yeah, well, I think we're going to have an answer on that, actually. So just so our audience knows, this episode has been pre-recorded. But I think we'll have an answer on that actually by the time this airs. But I agree, like, things have to change within the party there. There has to be a shakeup. Ronna McDaniel's got to go, especially like the more I'm learning about it and the more areas where she funded uniparty insiders races, but then no money towards other,
Right.
Your mega candidates.
And then when there's a fight, they abandon the battlefield. They
Yes.
leave. They don't support the people in Arizona who need help.
Yeah, they had to be guilted into it, basically.
Yeah, it's just a desperate need for new leadership. We haven't had a good RNC chair, and I can't tell you how long. So, I mean, she is a real part of the problem, along with McConnell and McCarthy.
Yeah, if we don't get rid of the three of them, we're going to have major issues. And it sounds like McConnell's got things pretty well locked down there. Was it Rick Scott that threatened to run against him there?
Rick Scott got 10 votes, and that shows you how far we are from getting a conservative Senate. And all these people, I think, are intimidated by McConnell. I mean, we need term limits. Like, these guys cannot stay up there for 50, 60 years. And Trump talked about that in his announcement speech. That is such a critical reform. These people are there way too long, build up way too much power, and they stop representing us. They're representing themselves and the special interests.
Yeah, and that's something that's I've gone back and forth on term limits a bunch of times, but more and more I'm coming down on your side of it. I used to think the voters should be smart enough to throw the bad politicians out, but unfortunately, I think they're able to just build up these defenses where they become undefeatable,
Right.
essentially, unless they screw up so badly. There's an organized, concerted effort to get them out. That is a seat for life.
Yeah, it is. It's almost impossible to beat one of these entrenched incumbents that have all this money. I mean, it's very, very, very difficult.
Well, that's another thing we've got to fix too, is this insider trading thing that Pelosi's made so much money on, and the rest of them. That there should not be any laws that protect Congress from something that would be illegal for the average person to do. So that means all these special protections need to go.
Exactly right. They need to live under the same laws that we do. And another thing we got to work out is, all this lobbying that they do, when they leave Congress to go, this lucrative, lobbying business where they cash in, they rake in the big bucks, and pursuing all this legislation, which really is against the public and for the special interests. So, and again, Trump talked about that in his announcement speech, which I think is a very needed reform. So we've got to fix Washington. And it's in desperate need of fixing. It's a corrupt cesspool. It really is.
Agreed. And that's why I'm hopeful that Republicans can get their stuff together by the time they take the House officially in January. And if nothing else, hold these investigations and just stave off as much of this bad legislation and bad spending as they possibly can, and make the case for us to trust you again in 2 years at the next presidential election.
Yeah, they've got their work cut out for them because I think there are a lot of skeptical people out there that have been burned time and time again. So they need to deliver big time. They really do. We're going to be watching them. We got to call them out if they don't do it, Mike.
Yeah. Well, we are about out of time. So, Jeff, where can our audience find you?
Well, listen, I want to thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. You can get more information, folks, at my website, which is my last name, crouere.net. And we have links to all my social media. My latest videos are posted there, information about my shows, and my book, America's Last Chance. So you can check it out at crouere.net.
Well, thanks again, Jeff, for being here with us. Really enjoyed having you back. We'll have you back again in the future, I'm sure. Thank you again. And don't forget to live up to freedom.
You're watching Lindell TV.